I think we've had a fantastic discussion around the group and a lot of violent agreement throughout, and we've got a lot of notes to try and pass on. And we found ourselves really gravitating, because of the people around the table, looking at education, young people, and how business links into that. And I think the first thing that we said was that we were really pleased that Maggie, very cleverly, has positioned this as digital skills, not technical skills, because I think it embraces that diversity and wideness that we're talking is so essential to try and making this work. And in thinking about that, what we wanted to do is to remember that focus, that actually it's not just the technical skills that industry wants or that young people might be interested in, that it is also about those wider problem-solving skills. We did talk about not necessarily a STEM brain, but what we thought about was something that embraced more of what we call STEAMed, and that would be adding the arts, the entrepreneurialism, and the design to that piece. Because when we look across the industry, we do need coders and developers, but we need people with a much more diverse range. And we think for young people, that's going to have a lot more that might inspire and draw them to the industry in the right sort of way. To do that, we need to focus on that creativity, and we need to think about what's happening, because our current curriculum structure, and particularly qualifications, are really quite narrow boxes that don't meet the needs of young people and definitely don't meet the needs of employers. We never hear employers saying we need young people with more qualifications. We do hear them talking very, very persuasively about what they need in terms of skills. And we're not suggesting that we become a sort of an either or. We're not saying that qualifications aren't important. We want to put an and back in there. And then that would go into the second thing that we're talking about is it's not about reinventing the wheel, and we think there's some lovely opportunities that we can make the most of. We think one of the ways of bringing that problem solving to life and those STEAM skills is to look more opportunities for project-based learning for young people. It allows that more cross-curricular, that cross-discipline way of thinking. It draws in the STEAM skills. It also lets young people think about the sorts of passions that they have and to take that all the way through. And actually, if you look buried in the fine print of various things, there are things like the backs that have that opportunity for assessed projects that would let young people go after something that they really enjoy, teachers to work in that sense of just the joy of learning and to bring in the technology. But far from having some concerns, we also know that there's a lot of schools, there's a lot of colleges, and we know UTCs are starting to break the bounds of thinking about how we might find more space. I think what we heard from teachers, what we heard from industry, what we heard from head teachers was give them more space to breathe within the curriculum and let the young people learn. And the digital skills will find their space there in that diversity and that more free space, not something that has to be examined. Now, in doing that, we need to make sure that we support the teachers. There's no one person in industry that would ever can claim to be an absolute expert on everything that's happening every day in their industry. And yet we somehow expect our teachers to. We need to break the back of that. We need to help our teachers see that they can be facilitators, that they can work alongside industry to try and bring that expertise within the classroom and link up with industry, and that they can learn alongside their students, not be at the front holding knowledge that always slips away and gets dated by tomorrow. To do that most effectively, we think that should go all the way through the curriculum, but we do think that there's a sweet spot. We know that the research suggests that between the ages of 10 and 14, that young people don't choose a career, but they start ruling out things, and technology is often something that gets ruled out at that stage. We also know that there's that lovely spot in Key Stage 3 before we have to examine everything, and it all becomes about those exams and the GCSEs. So what can we do to explore what's available? Getting into Key Stage 3, linking in the industry that's so enthusiastic. One of the things we've heard from Amanda in working with different businesses is that there is a plethora, there's so many opportunities, so many people out there that want to work with schools. How do we build up the prestige, the position of careers advisors within schools? How do we help build the links into schools from organizations like Amanda's, and then let the experts come in to do that at a very early age, so young people can see how many routes into technology there are, how widely technology spans across all of their skills, and to bring that sort of throughput. And that comes back to the role of industry. I've had some great enthusiasm, but also an admission that maybe industry hasn't been best at showcasing the excitement, the opportunity, the diversity that can happen. And there's a great deal that industry could do in really quite simple ways of showcasing what they do in a way that's interesting, accessible to teenagers, easy to access by schools, etc., and sort of join that loop. And all of them were saying whenever companies start on that route, they see the value exchange. It's smart business. It feels good, but it's good for the business to get that sort of join up. So it's sort of just bringing those things together. Did I leave anything out?
I think that's pretty much good.
Okay, we're done.